Most VR projects don't fail because of bad technology. They fail because they're built the wrong way. They're too complex, too slow, or completely miss the real issue at hand. We've seen companies spend months, even years, on virtual reality projects that no one ever ends up using. So in this video, we're breaking down exactly what it takes to create a virtual reality project that people actually want to use. All the way from idea to development to the real world impact. We're Spark Emerging Technologies, and for over 25 years we've been developing virtual reality, augmented reality and mixed reality solutions for a wide range of brands. We've worked on projects from training, to simulation, to even events. And over time we've refined a process that actually works. This isn't theory, this is how we're building VR for the real world. One of the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to developing VR is they choose the technology first. They say, we want VR. I'm sorry to say, but that is not a strategy. That is a tool looking for a problem. Instead, every virtual reality experience we've built has asked and tried to answer one problem. What exactly are we trying to fix? Is it long onboarding times? Safety risks? Inconsistent training? Or maybe it's high operational costs. VR is only really valuable if it tries to solve a real world problem, especially for brands. Let's take the example of onboarding and training. If it usually takes 3 days, that is a lot of time and manpower. And it's not just time, it's cost, it's resources as well. Now this is where VR becomes a pretty compelling option. It does this through compressing time, standardizing delivery and improving retention. So just remember that step one should always be defining the problem that we want to solve, not defining the tech. Once the problem is clear, the next step is to actually design the experience. This is another hurdle where a lot of people and projects get it completely wrong. Many people think VR is as simple as taking our usual training and putting it into virtual reality. In practice, it just doesn't work like that. VR isn't a static video. It's not a PowerPoint. It's a whole experience. So instead of asking questions like, what do we show? We ask questions like, what should the user do? We ask these questions for the simple point that interaction is everything. For example, instead of telling someone how to operate some heavy machinery, you can now allow them to sit inside that cockpit and actually manipulate the machine. Instead of explaining safety risks, you allow them to experience it in a safe and controlled environment. This is where VR becomes truly powerful. Because in these instances, people don't just see information, they experience it. And that also changes how they remember it. Here's another mistake that we see all of the time. Teams try to build everything perfectly from the start, first try. That is a big risk because, like it or not, virtual reality is still incredibly experimental. You don't really know something works until someone actually tries it. So instead of perfecting everything first time, we prototype. This includes quick builds, simple interactions, testing the core idea. Does it actually work? Does it feel right from a user's perspective? These are all questions that we should be asking from a very early stage in development. We ask all of these questions because it's much easier to fix something early than it is to find out all the way down the line that the core idea it just doesn't work in virtual reality. But off of the back of that last section, we should really talk about the idea of virtual reality being a full-blown product, not just a demo. Sure, it's important to prototype from a very early state, but the finished product should still have a good amount of polish. We don't want these to feel like quick throwaway demos. Demos are great, they're designed to impress, but products, they're designed to work repeatedly and scale well. So when building VR experiences for the real world, we need to be asking ourselves these questions. How long will the user be in the headset? Will they feel comfortable? Can this actually run on the target hardware? And most importantly, is it simple to use without guidance? Because in the real world, you don't have someone stood next to you the whole time helping out each individual user. It should be self-explanatory, and that's the joy of virtual reality. Experiences should stand tall on their own. And this is where a lot of projects fall apart. They look great in a demo, but fall apart in reality. Now, let's talk about one thing that a lot of people overlook when it comes to virtual reality experiences, and that is choosing the right hardware. Before you even start to build anything, you need to ask yourself some questions. What headset are we using? How are they managed? How are app and headset updates delivered? And how do users actually access the experience? For example, standalone headsets like the Quest 3 and Quest 3S are great for accessibility. You just put it on your head, choose the app, and get going. But when it comes to managing them at scale, this is where things can get tricky and expensive. On the other end of the spectrum, high-end virtual reality headsets that get tethered to a PC deliver absolutely incredible visuals, but are expensive to run and a lot harder to actually manage on a day-to-day basis. There really is no one-size-fits-all solution. The right choice completely depends upon your use case, and that's something that we can help with at Spark. So there we have it. That's how we go from ideation all the way to a finished product in virtual reality. To recap, if you're thinking about starting a virtual reality project, ask yourself these questions. What problem are we trying to solve? What hardware do we actually want to use? How is the user going to be interacting with this world? And how can we ensure that we iterate quickly and produce a finished, polished product? If you're thinking about how virtual reality can help your company, then go ahead and get subscribed and reach out to us at www.sparkmtech.co.uk. If you enjoyed this video, get subscribed down below as well, as we're going to be dropping a ton more deep dive videos into the world of extended reality. My name's been Robert, this has been Spark Emerging Technologies. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.